Hi, am I on the air?
Yep.
Fuck.
Thanks.
I've been in the danger zone.
He got a bath.
Minus 5 stars.
Mango.
Huh? Yeah, we got to use that.
Jeff Harvey.
How much does a Skyway?
Play.
We'll play 21.
Fuck him.
Well, what is up? Welcome to another edition of Am I Still on the Air? This, of course, the spin-off show of Am I on the Air, which I do every Sunday night with your entertainment hookup, TV, music, movie, news, reviews, the whole nine. Am I Still on the Air has now become the spoiler place. This is where you want to come listen to spoiler talk of the best movies that are out. We did X-Men Days of Future Past, and it was awesome. It was a 2-hour episode, really dove into the whole X-Men franchise, and then really focusing it up on the latest installment. Lots of fun, big hit. Then last week, myself and Geeky Pat, we did the spoiler review for Edge of Tomorrow, which was awesome, and that even went about an hour between us. And,
yeah, I see how it is. Thanks, guys.
Hey, somebody's slacking and not seeing the movies. Got to keep up. And
That's true.
So we're keeping it going. Tonight's spoiler review is going to be 22 Jump Street. So switching it up a little bit, we've done a couple big action movies, and now we're just going to talk about some laughs. So I'm glad to be joined once again by the whole crew of the X-Men panel. So we got Geeky Pat and Peeps the Geek. What is up, guys?
Just living it up, Geek Nation.
Hey, hanging out, chilling like a villain.
There you go. So these guys are back. We're going to talk 22 Jump Street, the #1 movie in America. It was an upset over the weekend at the box office because How to Train Your Dragon 2 came out, and everyone was saying How to Train Your Dragon 2 was going to be the #1 film. And of course, it was the big family film. Family films always bring in the big bucks, and it did really well. It brought in $50 million. It was a big success. A lot of people love that movie. But out of nowhere, 22 Jump Street crushed it and came out with $60 million in its opening weekend, and to rave reviews as well. So that's what we're going to discuss tonight, and it's all spoil-filled action. So welcome once again. Am I Still on the Air? I am DONMEGA, of course, your host tonight, along with Am I on the Air? And Geeky Pat from This Week with the Geek. Peeps the Geek, who's going to probably change his name, but he's got a big, shocking announcement tonight for everybody. He's going to drop a bombshell here. He's also got a show coming to Red Dragons Radio here real soon, so I'm super stoked about that. So I'm so happy to have you guys back on. We're going to talk 22 Jump Street. Are you all ready?
Let's get to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, let's get it on.
All right. Well, 22 Jump Street, I love the beginning of this film because they did it like a TV show. It was all previously on 21 Jump Street, and they went through and kind of showed this little quick montage of everything that went down in the first movie, which I thought was awesome because I read, they really wanted to make it to where you could go into this one without have seen 21 Jump Street and kind of just jump right into it. So I thought that was a real smart move to kind of do the whole TV aspect, kind of paying tribute to the television show by doing the, previously on. And so we pick up with our guys kind of on an undercover mission. And this from the trailer was one of the best scenes I was looking forward to because you have Jonah Hill, playing up his Vato role with his top button. What's up, Holmes? Like doing this great. I loved it, man. This cracked me up every time in the trailer. Going, hey, where's Sleepy at? Everybody say Sleepy looked like the Mexican Wolverine. And then into the why is he no talking? My name Jeff.
My name Jeff. That's Jefe.
Jeff. Yeah, that's Jefe, man. Just so good. No matter how many times I saw that trailer where he said, "My name Jeff," it fucking cracked me up just as much every damn time.
The lines after that were even better. They really were.
So much, where'd you find this guy? The fucking Mumford and Sons concert?
I think it's all. Tell him about that story.
Yeah.
You had so much detail. You had so much detail. Come on.
It's so good, but basically they're trying to bust these guys who are doing this, like, trafficking of wild exotic animals, and, they end up busting them, and then they figure out they're cops, and, they go on this chase, and it ends up being a bust, and it, ends really silly. And I love the following scene, because then it goes back to them being in the captain's office, the original captain who put them on the 21 Jump Street assignment, and he's looking at them all disappointed, and he's
Is
like,
that a hickey?
yeah, no, it was an octopus. And what I loved so much about the first movie was how tongue-in-cheek it was, and how they poked fun at being in the genre like this. And they continue that this entire film, where basically, the captain is telling him, played by Nick Offerman, who Nick Offerman is just so good, and Nick Offerman tells him, this is what happens when you stray off the beaten path and you try to do something different. He's like, so we need you to do what you did last time, since it was successful, and do the same damn thing again. You're going back to Jump Street. And it was funny, because it was such a tongue-in-cheek thing on sequels and stuff, of saying, like, oh, don't do something different for a sequel. Do the same fucking thing all over again.
Exactly.
And I love that they were just so open and vocal about it. It was just, that was so great. So they, and what I love too is, because the end of the first movie, Ice Cube says, "You two sons of bitches are going to college," and then at the beginning of the second movie, they're doing like online school.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even go to college. Like, they're doing, like, who would have thought that when they said we're going to college, we're doing online courses, and that we were really going to go to college, and so that was really funny. So then when they do get the assignment, and they find out that they are really going into college to do basically the same exact thing. There's a new drug, of course, called Wi-Fi. Work hard, play hard. Work hard, yes. Play hard, yes. Which was the name of the episode of Am I on the Air this past Sunday. I haven't listened to it already. And, so it's the new drug, go in, flyer. It's the same exact setup as the first film. But just still so damn hilarious. And it just shows you can kind of repeat and have it be really funny, unlike where a lot of people are comparing it to like the Hangover series, where it's kind of like they tried to repeat but kind of too much of the exact same thing, whereas this took the same concept but really spiced it up in a lot of different areas. What I love too is they tell them, the Koreans sold the church in 21 Jump Street, so you're moving across the street to 22 Jump Street, and when they get to the 22 Jump Street, they see like the mobile home like communities going up, and it says 23 Jump Street coming soon or whatever, like on the banner.
I love that. That was funny.
Like, oh, you never know, And so that was a cute little tongue-in-cheek thing. Now we have Vietnamese Jesus instead of Korean Jesus from the last movie. They come in and everything's like way more expensive. I love that they were like saying that Ice Cube's office looked like a big cube of ice.
Yeah. Nice.
They just made fun of themselves the whole movie that way.
Every little thing, if you really paid attention, was a little subtle joke, and it was so smart and so good. His office looked like a cube of ice.
I couldn't help but wonder, like, which parts were actually scripted and which parts were like improv. Like that's what I like about these kind of movies and the Apatow movies. I was like, did they plan that? Because they both bounced off each other really well, and I don't know. I like that.
Well, there was also a scene like where Channing Tatum was like, "Well, you never know. One day we could like protect the president." And that was his last movie.
Yeah, they did that little inside joke about White House Down.
I didn't even catch that.
Oh yeah, Channing Tatum says when they're talking to Nick Offerman and he's saying like we should go back and do the same thing and go to college and everything. Channing Tatum says, well, we could go work for like the Secret Service and protect the president, which was a cute little nod to White House Down. So. That's what I'm saying. Like, you'd have to go watch this movie a couple times to really understand and catch like all the little inside jokes that they dropped in this thing. And I mean, so since we're talking about the beginning part here, so the opening stuff with the drug bust with the bust with the animals. Speaking of stuff that's ad-libbed, I know that the scene in the truck after the octopus gets on his face and everything, next time you watch it, you'll notice this, but there's a scene where there's a big white bird that actually flies around in the truck, and it kind of goes right at Jonah Hill, and he ducks and he screams like a girl.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I saw him on Conan last week, and he said that was actually that was a true shot, and that was his real reaction. He said he has a fear of birds, and
Amen.
he can't stand birds, and that bird flew out. That was his general reaction, and they kept it and they put it in the movie.
That is perfect. That's
So
awesome.
when you watch it back and you hear him go, ah, like with that bird coming out his face, that's so funny to know that was really his true reaction about it. And then if you pan over and look at Channing Tatum's face real quick, you see him cracking up because that was the real take. And that's so funny. So like, yeah, they do keep in so much of that ad-lib stuff.
And this is the perfect movie to do it with, really. I mean, it's just meant to be funny. I mean, it had an overall story that was still pretty interesting, but it was just funny. I mean, I laughed probably from the get-go to the very end. I don't know, it was just very, very funny. And to know how much they were involved in the movie, I was watching some interviews like afterwards and stuff, and I guess Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum were producers with a guy named Neil Mortz, and they were part of the writing, the screenplays and stuff. They helped in with that, I guess, or actually the story. I think the actual story Jonah Hill had something to do with because he was the one that was talking, and it shows like they're really passionate about this film. I mean, it was just funny. It really was.
Yeah, this was Jonah's like passion project. Like the first one, Jonah was all over. Like he wrote the script, he produced it. Like this was his baby, you know. So I mean, so yeah, he's definitely really, really invested into this. And so going back to the opening scene, going back to the Nick Offerman stuff, them being put back on an assignment, sending them to college, you know, go with you, Peeps. Like, what was your thoughts there on like the first like kind of like half hour of the film?
Yeah, it was the same with the first movie. I went into the movie not really expecting too much. I mean, unlike 99% of America, I did not enjoy Hangover at all. There were some parts that made me giggle, but in the end, I don't know. I was bored. I just didn't like the movie that much.
The first one?
Yeah, the first one.
Wow, first one.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know. Again, I'll admit I'm that one guy that doesn't like it. I'm also the one guy that doesn't like Fight Club. Pat and I have had this conversation. He tells me I need to watch it 3 more times, but I don't know. But same thing. Like I go into this movie just like I did with the first movie. I wasn't expecting much. You know, they've done movie versions of TV shows like Land of the Lost. Though I did like Land of the Lost. I thought that movie was stupidly funny. But
I enjoyed that too.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't say like I was like on the floor laughing like
Right.
you know, like I was with this movie. And so I come into it, you know, arms crossed. I'm not going to laugh. This movie ain't all that funny. I'm gonna prove down wrong. And like I just honestly, like you said from the get go, like I knew that scene was coming because that scene happened in the trailer, and every time we see that, you know, the trailer to this movie, it has that beginning scene. So I was just sitting there, I've already seen this. Give me something else. But as soon as they had the interaction with the the police captain in the beginning, and then when he saw Ice Cube, I was like, all right, it's starting to get me. So, and then just from there, it was just downhill. I couldn't hold it anymore. It was just so freaking funny.
Why is it every time you talk I want to throw the fuck up? I mean, how good was Ice Cube in this film? I mean, this was probably my favorite role ever for Ice Cube.
Other than Craig, right? I mean, come on, Friday.
I don't know, man. This might have passed Craig, because, like, he was just on a whole, like, and I loved him in the first movie, but he was on a whole nother level in this fucking film.
Yeah, like he definitely pulled off that psycho dad / like, I thought he was going to shoot him in the chest because he had the Kevlar on. I thought he was just going to shoot him, like, that's what you get kind of thing. And that whole scene, like, you know, when Tatum found out that he was with his daughter.
We'll get to it.
Oh man.
Jump ahead.
Oh man.
So Pat, so first half hour or so of the film, what'd you think of everything kind of opening it up and getting them to the college?
Well, I first thought, what do you mean they're in they're in online courses? But it made sense. It was funny and it made sense because they were looking for like signals and stuff. And the actual video with the guy giving the signal was like painfully obvious that it was a signal, but that's what made it funny. It was just funny. And then when they got to the bus, and they leading up to that, actually, I started laughing because they pull out the golden guns and start doing those.
Oh yeah, in the
those
office.
Seats, and they looking all awesome and on top of the
2 arms. Oh, we have 2 more arms.
Oh yeah, where'd those
I
arms
got
come
2
from?
arms. It was hilarious. I mean,
Yeah,
it was.
I like it. They did the
hilarious.
back-to-back spin shot, and then
Yeah.
went, like chest to chest, and did the spin shot again.
They're making fun of every action movie, like, 2 guns and all that came out because they were doing those in the trailer, in those movies. But it was just hilarious. And then they get to the scene that the famous scene where he pulls his car up and he's all like, all right, this is the part I'm playing and I'm going to be this guy. He's like, no, I don't want to do this. We have to have a plan. I'm not good at improv. And they lead up to it like straight man, funny man, kind of just typical classical comedy. And then they get in.
I get into my character.
Oh, that's what I was just gonna say. I mean, just
Quiet.
in that scene, like every time you should be quiet while I focus. But should be quiet while I focus. And like he did it like 4 times, and every time it was fucking so funny. I need total silence while I focus.
Yeah, he said it the same way. I loved it.
And that thing he did with his face in his hand. And I mean, it was like a total 3 minutes of the movie that they just wasted on that, but it was worth it. It was so hilarious. And then they get in there. And he does the whole, I am Jeff, but when they ask him, tell him that story, Holmes, tell him that story that, you told me the other day, and he looks panicked. And he's like, then his, Hispanic accent kind of sounds Swedish.
It was all over the place.
The more they did it, it started sounding Italian, and it was just, he's like, hey, I don't know what you're doing.
And he was all like, well, it was me and Dora and my cousin.
Diego.
And Swiper.
It's not a real name.
Did you say Striper?
It was just hilarious. And they get in the truck and all that. But I think that even the octopus scene was still funny to me, even though I saw it before, And the octopus climbing, it was creepy, climbing off. And I don't like birds either, so that was that would have been Geeky Pat screaming too, because I hate birds. But, it was hilarious. But what really got me was, because they look back on it later, is when he's on that truck. He's like, just flips up there all like kung fu style up on the top. He's like, I can't flip like that. I can't do that. And he's trying to climb the side, and then he falls and gets hooked on that net. And then Channing Tatum jumps down and starts smashing into the window. And he's like, this guy's the Terminator.
Yeah.
Even the scene when they're hanging there, it was fun because it was still action packed. But even within the action, it was funny. Is what I'm getting at. It was. I don't know, it wasn't just the lines. It was slapstick humor too, without it looking overly slapstick, It was hilarious. And then that's when all the jokes about the movie starts, when they're really all sitting in that office with the captain, and that's when he starts making all the references, and he's like, the very same thing. No, Captain, we can do the very same thing. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. Just letting you know that the plot is not gonna change for this movie. So it was very tongue-in-cheek. I like how that throughout the movie they kind of just pick at each other's roles and about the movie. I really, the first 30 minutes is really important in a movie like this, and they nailed it, I think. They really did nail it.
Yeah, they totally nailed it. They hit the college, and they both start trying to settle in. I like that they kind of flipped it up, because in the last movie, it was, Channing Tatum that kind of got stuck with the nerds, and Jonah became kind of the cool guy, because they got their identities flipped around. And then in this one, it was like Channing got to be like the cool guy finally, and then, so Jonah was kind of on the outs on this one, and, so they it was funny with Channing when he met the guy on the football team, and he clicked with him right away, and so they bonded. So then Jonah got real jealous, and so then Jonah meets that chick, the really hot black chick, man, whew. And so he starts hanging out with her. He ends up spending the night with her, and then you meet her roommate, which that chick was fucking so funny. Because they wake up and they're just cuddling and stuff, and the camera pans over, and this chick's just sitting there watching them.
All annoyed looking.
Yeah, she's so pissed off, and she's making fun of Jonah Hill for how old he looks, and he's like, no, I'm 19, and she's like, 19 years late to your, senior appointment or whatever.
Like the whole movie, from the beginning to the last scene, she was just ripping on him the whole time.
For being old.
Yeah, Jillian Bell is her name, and she is really, really fucking funny.
Have you seen her on Workaholics?
No, see, I don't watch Workaholics, but I knew her from Eastbound and Down, the Danny Bride show on HBO. She's on that show. And so that's where I knew her from. She had a little role in Bridesmaids as well. But she is so funny. So they go to the college to find this drug, and basically this girl had died on the drug, and Jillian Bell she was her roommate, and then the girl that Jonah Hill hooks up with, Maya, played by Amber Stevens, she says, after she died, I invited her to come room with me because I felt bad for her. And, she was just so funny, just ripping on Jonah Hill. She's like, I thought I heard your hip pop out, and like all kinds of shit. Like, just so bad ripping on him, but so funny. And then Jonah Hill doing like the fucking like walk of shame.
The walk of shame, that was so funny.
He's holding his sneakers in his hand while all the other girls are walking with their high heels.
Looking all sad.
Yeah, it's
Hey,
so
Joan.
funny. Oh my god, and then and then they go and they do the when he meets that girl too, and they do the slam. He does the slam poetry. Oh my god, the poetry thing cracked me up so hard. Like, he just out of nowhere, he's like, oh, death and life and blood, and he just starts doing this thing. And the part that I keep remembering is like when he was like, Julia Roberts robbing hurts. And then he's just like, she died. She's died. She's dead. And like, just
drops the mic. That was awesome.
Oh my god! What a fucking scene!
And Channing Tatum is cracking up. He's trying to hold it, and he's cracking up. So I wonder if that...
Exactly. I think that was a fucking scene that was just...
The girl cracked up, too.
Yeah. I mean, so good. I loved that slam poetry scene. And then, moving forward ahead, they do like a parent-kid kind of like luncheon, and Jonah is with his parents, and they bump into the chick, Maya, and she's like, oh, meet my parents, and out comes Ice Cube, and he's her dad.
You gotta preface it before he goes back to the station and starts bragging about sleeping with her. So go ahead, figure it from there, Don. You do so much better at this than I do.
Yeah. So after he has sex, they go back to the police station. They're kind of, and I liked it too because they had the board up on the wall, and every picture was just a question mark. Every picture was a question mark with all the dots still drawing to like other pieces. And he's like, "You don't have nothing? Well, we got a tattoo." And that was like all they had was the tattoo thing. And then Jonah's like, "Well, I did have sex last night." He's like, first there was missionary, then there was missionary, then there was she laid on her back and I got on top. I'm talking missionary. I'm talking. So he's like, come on, man, give me a high five, and Ice Cube gives him a dap, and, they high five over it, and he's like, all right, man, I'm proud of you, and they go on with their shit. So then, so sorry, I got ahead of it, but so then they do the parent-teacher thing at the college, and Maya's dad is Ice Cube, and he walks out. He makes eye contact with Jonah. Jonah looks at him, freaking the fuck out at this point, and it was hilarious. And she's like, "Oh, I want you to meet my boyfriend Doug." And, "Oh yeah, Doug," and it's like, "Oh my god, dude!" And
the text messaging was great.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. And then they do the luncheon, and Queen Latifah's his wife, and that was another real quick little side joke was when he was like, "Where are you guys from?" And she goes, "I'm straight out of Compton," but he's from like Kansas or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I loved. She was like, "I'm straight out of Compton," and and Ice Cube's like, can I get some water up in here? And Jonah Hill's like, please get this man some water. He's black. He's led a hard life. And just how uncomfortable he is in this scene. And Ice Cube goes up to the buffet and he's like, gets the little scoop of collard greens from the guy, and he's like, that's it? That's all a brother can get? And he's like, give me some goddamn collard greens, and he starts grabbing the chicken and ripping it apart, and he's so pissed. And then, so afterwards, Jonah's with Maya, and she's like, I'm sorry, I don't know why my dad, overreacted like that. And he's like, yeah, I don't know, it's weird. And he starts getting the text messages, and it's like, how's it going, Doug? In quotation marks. And it's like, I'm gonna kill you, Doug. And then it's like, and then he sends him like all the emoticons, like the gun, the knife, the bomb.
Just hear beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, and you just hear his text tones just going off, and she's trying to like make out with him and stuff, and he's like, can we just talk? And oh my god, man. So let's talk about that whole unveiling of Ice Cube being her dad. Go ahead, Peeps, kick it off with you.
Yeah, I mean, like, that was that moment where, I mean, I'll admit I was that guy in the theater. I was just like, oh shit, just screaming as soon as I saw him, because I just knew it. And then, like, what I was really wanting to know is, like, they said, she's like, my parents is here, and all you saw really was Ice Cube and him in the beginning. I was like, well, who's the mom? I thought maybe the mom was going to come around and be somebody else, but I mean, it was Queen Latifah. But I mean, she's even big and scary, so I thought she was going to be giving him the stare and the dirty look. But man, like, it was just so funny. I love that.
So good. We should add into the conversation, since we're talking about Ice Cube, is yes, when they go back to the station and Jonah's putting on the Kevlar and he's putting on the bulletproof vest, and Channing Tatum's like, why are you wearing a vest? And Ice Cube's just staring at him, and he's got his gun in his hand, and I liked it because Ice Cube turns the picture around on his desk, and it's the picture of Maya, and Channing Tatum looks at it, and he looks at Jonah Hill, and he looks at the picture.
It takes him a minute.
Yeah, it takes him a minute, and you actually hear the tick, 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 and it's all ding, and he's like, oh my god, and he like freaks out, and he jumps up, and he's like, you had sex with the captain's daughter, oh my god, and he jumps out of the room, and he starts yelling at everybody, hey everyone, he had sex with the captain's daughter. He's dancing, he's running around the box, and he's going around the whole thing, and he's like, you gave him a high five over this. And oh my god, that scene, my wife was dying. That's her favorite scene in the whole movie, is that revelation. Like, and I loved that they like did it like where it took him a minute, like the whole tick 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 ding. I was like, as soon as it goes ding, he's like, oh my god, and like it's so good. So yeah, you gotta.
I mean, and as childish as it was, like, he was literally skipping around saying, you had sex with the captain's daughter, and I'm just thinking, like, this is so childish, but I can't stop laughing. This is good.
Oh, it's days later and I'm laughing about it.
Picture it. You see him skipping around the fucking big Ice Cube box of an office, and he had sex with the cat. I just love it. You high-fived him.
That film must have been so freaking hard to film. I mean, how can you just sit there while someone's doing that and not crack up?
And he looked so mad the whole time. He did
So good. So Pat, let's talk about the whole Ice Cube revelation, the whole scene leading up to it, the afterwards. Like, what was your thoughts of all that going down?
Well, Ice Cube was funny in the first movie, so I was glad to see that they gave him more parts, but I didn't think they were. I thought he was just going to be the captain. He would say a few things that were funny, and then he'd go back to them in college, right? So adding him into the movie the way they did, he's a funny guy. I mean, he is. I think the contrast was really important too, because like when Jonah Hill's parents showed up, he's like, "What are you doing? I'm undercover," and they're all treating him like he's still a kid, like he's not a 30-year-old man. And then Ice Cube is in the picture, so like even when him and Queen Latifah and Jonah Hill are at the table, it's already uncomfortable anyway because the captain knows he slept with his daughter and he knows it, but nobody else knows it. So all this angry, hostile black man's across from him, and his total white parents are looking all uncomfortable. His dad tries to have a conversation with them, he gets blown off, and he freaks out. He just flips out, and goes and like you said, messes up that whole thing. And he's all like, break your arm off! He's ripping off the chicken, and every time he's doing it, Jonah's jumping, you know. I think one of my favorite parts was when they were at the box, but leading up to that, when they're sitting down, he's like, let's just talk, and it's like, ping, 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 with the text, and he's like, how did my dad get your number? And he's like, I don't know, you know, your dad's crazy. But again, that girl that was in those other shows that you were talking about, the blonde-haired girl, you just said her name, but I can't remember it. That was from Workaholics. Yeah. She was in that scene again, and so she was so.
Well, she's
funny.
In the scene after they spend the whole night talking.
Yeah.
Because they end up spending the whole night talking, like 8 hours or something, and then late in the morning, she's like, I gotta go, I'm late for my class, and she gets up and leaves, and again, the camera pans over, and she's just sitting there.
Same face!
And he's like, have you been there the whole time? She's like, yep. Like,
I'm sorry, you're in my room, feeling your guts out, you have, like, so many problems. Yeah. For an old man. And then they get to the actual scene where he's dancing around and running around like that, and oh man, I was laughing so hard no noise was coming out. It was so funny. I think that this movie, in the parts that were funny were really funny, and the parts that were serious were really serious, like the awkwardness at the table. It was so funny, but there was still that awkwardness. And when he was trying to tell her that he kind of cared about her, he didn't want to sleep with her because he was scared. Because she was all like, let's do it again. They didn't even know that girl was over there again. And then he was like, no, let's just talk. But it was still touching in that scene. You still kind of... And one of the gripes I have, maybe I'll wait till the end when we get to gripes, but it was hilarious. And that scene... I'm with your wife. I think that's one of my favorite scenes when he's running around dancing and just dancing. It was at least 4 minutes of him doing that, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, the whole scene was so good. And so, you know, we move on from there. They're still trying to find the dealer, and you know, all they have to go off of is this tattoo of a guy blasting a bazooka, and they think they found the dude that it was that guy Rooster, and then they find out it wasn't him, and of course it was the guy that Channing Tatum kind of like clicked up with, that became like best friends with. So, but he was being kind of naive about it, and Jonah's like, you found the tattoo? Like, that's him, let's bust him. And Channing's like, I don't know, man, it just doesn't seem like it. And he's like, I don't want to, you know, let's look into it some more. And so they end up kind of getting in a fight, and they kind of almost like they go their separate ways for a bit of the film. You know, and Jonah does another walk of shame, which was hilarious, because that time he was like, I just want to go home and watch some Friends.
Or watch some Friends.
Curl up and watch some Friends. And he knew the other girls' names.
Yeah.
He was walking around. Hey,
Hi,
Jessica.
yeah, whatever. Yeah.
And, you know, and so that was so good. And then, you know, so they end up kind of doing their own thing, going their separate ways. And they end up on the news. They say that they caught the person that it was, and they said it was like the psychiatrist at the school or whatever, which I thought was really funny, because then they show Nick Offerman again, and Nick Offerman was like, yep, we busted him. It was just like last time. Exactly like last time.
The camera zooms in exactly like last time.
Exactly like last time. You know, and then so they're like, okay, I guess we'll, you know, go our separate ways or whatever. And Channing's like, I got a scholarship and I want to play football, and he's like, what? So he's like, all right. So they end up separating, and Jonah goes back to being like the bicycle cop, and he's at the park, and Channing is doing his school thing, and you know, I thought that was a really cool scene too, because you know, Jonah's all bored and he's doing the bicycle cop, and it was funny seeing Channing trying to do like the college thing, especially when it was funny because they kept just showing him and that other guy working out all the time. And then he was finally like, do you want to like do something else besides work out? And he's like, well, what else? What else could there be to do? You know, and like, you know, and then Channing ends up meeting him in the park, and he say, you know, I don't think that they got the right guy, and so I don't think they did either. And they end up, you know, and I loved their conversation there too, because it was very like, you know, like a relationship. It was kind of like, we'll do this one more time. It's just a one-time thing. It doesn't mean anything more than it is.
I hope you understand.
Yeah, I hope you understand. This is just a one-time thing.
it was like a breakup scene prior to that. I mean, they had this really cool. They got high and hooked up all the cameras. That was so hilarious too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Can't even talk about that. There's so much to fucking
I know.
discuss. In this
We won't be able to get it done in an hour, but then there was this breakup scene, and they're at the doctor's office and the psychiatrist's office. It starts to go downhill, like they're in some kind of relationship, and it's breaking up. And then their pledge week, right, where they thought they got caught, and then they realized they were just in this pledge thing, and that's where it really finally clicked for Jonah. And he just leaves, right? He's like, I don't even know where I'm at. And he walks off all sad. That's when he does that walk of shame.
Yeah.
It was like two people who broke up met up in the park and like was about to have a relationship again just for one night or whatever. It was pretty well done.
Yeah, it was awesome too. I mean, it was the twins. The twin guys across the room from them.
Yin and Yang.
So funny too. Yin Yang. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when they were doing the like, oh man, you copied me. Jinx. What? Stop that. What? Yeah. And
we're still doing it.
We're still doing it. That's crazy. Yeah. All right. Like, and then Jonah and Channing like, we could do that too. Hash browns, lobster,
pancakes,
potatoes.
And they're not even close.
Yeah, it was so. But oh my God, that scene killed me too. And like, so they're sitting there arguing in their room, and they're both eating Rice Krispie treats, and then Yin and Yang come in, and they're like, "Oh man, there's Wi-Fi in those Rice Krispie treats." And Jonah's like, "I'm on my 12th Rice Krispie treat,"
You're gonna be messed up later.
Be fucked up, And it was like, oh shit. And then so of course, like all of a sudden, like, and the way they broke down this drug was it was like an 8-hour trip where it was like 4 hours of extreme concentration and then 4 hours of lose your fucking mind, which was the work hard, yes, play hard, yes. So like when it does the work hard, that's when they're all in the black and they're like running to the frat house and they're like jumping on top of each other, break in, and I loved that scene. Jonah's like parkouring, or not, fucking Channing is like parkouring up the fucking building and shit, and Jonah does the grappling hook.
The safety helmet.
And then he's all going up on the hook, and it's going up super fucking slow, and Channing's just like, flip, like up the roof and everything, and then it cuts back to Jonah, like going up the thing. That killed me so much, because every time they cut back to Jonah, it was like the music stopped, and you just saw him going, like up on the rope. And he's like, I'm not fucking Spider-Man like you are, and then I like that they were playing.
What are you doing? Cutting the glass.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
He had the fucking laser light, and he's like, I'm cutting the glass. He's like, and he just opens the window. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? That was awesome. And he's like, well, that's no fun. And then he's like, he's drilling the holes so Jonah can put cameras in. And he's like, drill. He's like, I don't even have any more cameras. And he's like, still drilling the holes.
Did he ask him, give me a camera? I told you I was out like 3 holes ago.
10 holes ago, yeah. He's like, so like, oh my God, dude. So so they're trying to, figure it out. They end up finding out that the drugs are being sold down in Spring Break. They go down. They decide to do the one more thing. They go down to Spring Break, and it ends up being that it was the girl. It was the roommate, the girl from Workaholics that we talked about. She was the bad guy, so to speak. She's the drug dealer. Her dad was the crime guy that was selling the illegal exotic animals in the beginning of the film in the truck. And
the Mumford guy.
So then it goes on to this whole big chase, and Jonah wanted to, or Channing wanted to drive a Lamborghini like the whole fucking film, and they finally, oh man, a Lambo, and then Jonah is the one that got to drive it, and I love that he kept stalling out, and he couldn't figure out, I can't drive this damn car,
How do you start it?
Lambros,
yeah. Oh my God. And then how cool was it too? We skipped right over the trip itself, because when they were tripping on the drugs and it hit the other 4 hours, it was like a split screen, and Jonah's is like hell, and there's lava, and like Creed, and it's like, can you take me higher?
He was dancing all sad.
He's just like bobbing his head all sad, and then Channing's is like sunlight and rainbows, and it's fucking playing ass, titties, ass, titties, and he's dancing to it. And then I love he was sitting on the little baby Lamborghini, and he's like, I got my Lambo.
The dancing rainbow, like what the hell?
Oh my god, dude! And then he's like, "Oh look, I'm flying!" And then Jonah's trying to grab him. Why are you pulling me down? You're always pulling me down.
I think Vietnamese Jesus was there too.
Yeah, he was.
I was going to say that. And you see, he's trying to slam into there. Remember, he's trying to get in.
Yeah. Come on,
I can't get in.
Awesome. Ass titties, ass titties. Oh my god! So
there's like 3 of them dancing next to each other. I think at one point, like 3 Channings. I don't know.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So they, we're chasing down the girl. She ends up grabbing Ice Cube hostage. Jonah ends up rescuing him. Jonah tracks down the girl. They get into a fist fight, which was awesome in its own way, because they're like fighting and they're punching the fuck out of each other. And then she like leans in to like kiss him, and he's like, "What the fuck? Are you trying to kiss me?" And then she's like, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "You just leaned in," and she's like, "No, you leaned in." And this is the most awkward fist fight I've ever been in.
The best part about that scene is the dude in the background is just sitting there smoking a bong, and just is like, "What the fuck is going on?" But he's just like sitting there. I'm like, what is he? Is he going to stand up? What's he doing?
Well, it was a brutal fist fight with a girl too, so it was awkward. And then like she hits him with like 2 glass bottles, and he grabs this plastic bottle, hits her like 2 times.
She's like, "Are you hitting me with a fucking plastic bottle?" Stop that. And then I like that they keep on fighting, and he knocks her on the bed, and she's like, "What are you gonna do? Fuck me?" And he's like, "No, I'm not gonna fuck you." And she's like, "You better fuck me if you're gonna be on top of me." And he's like, "What the fuck?" And it was just.
Like, I just want this to end. This is so awkward.
He's like, "This is so awkward. Let's just start over. I'm gonna hit you in the face right now." She lets him. It's a brutal hit.
Oh my god, so good. And then so she ends up getting. They get into a showdown after the fight, and then Ice Cube's daughter shows up, and she ends up clocking her over the head and knocking her out. And the day is saved. And then they end up taking out her dad and the Mexican Wolverine and all the other guys who are taken off in the helicopter, and Channing, jumps and gets onto the helicopter, and the whole movie is about how Jonah's been holding him down and everything, and so he ends up making the leap, and he makes it, and basically pretty much saves the day as they throw the grenade into the helicopter, and the helicopter.
Something cool.
Something cool. Well, what did you say? I said something cool. Well, what did you say then?
Well, there was a scene where the guy's about to shoot Channing, and he dives to take the bullet this time, and then he's so fast that he misses, and the bullet still hits Channing, and he's like, "It's the thought that counts." He's like, "No, taking the bullet's what counts."
Yeah, that was the greatest. Yeah, because Channing took a bullet for him in the first movie, and they talk about that. So then you see the guy go to shoot Channing, so Jonah's like, "Oh, I got to do this now for him," and he jumps, and it's full slow motion, and it's like, and then he falls and hits the ground, and then the bullet comes and hits Channing right in the arm.
The other arm.
The safe spot in the other arm, exactly.
Yeah, and he's like, "I tried." There is no try. It's like, you gotta stop.
And he's trying to get the grenade. Oh my goodness. Oh.
I like the fight scene between him and, was it the twins when the girl was on his shoulders or something? They're on the beach
in the crowd.
Yeah, I'm like, I love fights, like original fight scenes that are like completely unique, like the ones Shoot 'em Up. Like that is the first movie where I've seen a sex scene and a fight scene at the exact same time. And then same thing with this one is like a little different. But since when has a random chick just been on his shoulders? And I don't even know what they were doing. Were they doing some of the Step Up, Save the Last Dance kind of stuff? I don't know. It was great.
It seemed like it almost. Yeah, he's like swinging her around and like kicking everybody in the face with her feet and everything.
Yeah.
And then I like as he sits her down, he just starts making out with her.
Yeah.
And then the other dude throws up on him. Like,
oh yeah, that was so nasty.
He headbutts him.
On the helicopter scene too, it was supposed to be like it was supposed to be like this touching moment where they realize, "Oh, you're not holding me. I mean, I'm not you're not holding me down anymore, and he goes, and you're not pulling me down either, and he goes, except for right now, you're pulling me down right now because you weigh so much. She's like, because remember Channing slips, and the big guy, I can't remember his name right now. Jonah catches him, and then that's when he's like, get the grenade. He's all reaching up in there to get his grenade.
That's my dick. What about now? That's my dick too.
Why is it so hard? That's what he said.
Yeah, it's the adrenaline.
He has to pull the pen with his teeth.
Yeah, he's like,
yeah.
Oh, it's in my mouth.
Oh, it's so good. Blows up the helicopter. They save the day. All the other little pieces too kind of started to go downhill. And Ice Cube's talking about how they needed to scale back the budget because they blew through all the money already. And, he's like, look at this looks like something Iron Man would have. It's like, and then when Channing's driving Jonah and they're in the like little helmet car, and the bad guys are chasing them, and they're like smashing through like everything. And he's like, we need to be careful. We can't be breaking more shit. And he's like, I'm gonna take this shortcut through the robotics center, And then they go through the building, and you just hear smash, 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 and then they come out the other side. And
why would you make a right towards the art center?
Yeah, they go through the art center and they smash through every single. It's like they're trying to aim to hit everything.
And then when they went to the robotics center, they come out. Channing's like, who would have known there was so much expensive stuff in there?
So good. That's what I'm saying. All those little moments that were just so tongue in cheek, like, was so funny. And so you get the end. They save the day. Everybody's happy. It is what it is. And then at the end of the movie, and this is really a big highlight for me. And I was talking to Peeps about this earlier. So you get to the end of the movie, and Ice Cube does the same thing like the first film. He says, "You two sons of bitches are going to medical school," and it like fast forwards, and it shows them like Channing. They're both in scrubs, and Channing's like pushing Jonah in a wheelchair, and like people are chasing them with guns, and it ends and it says like 23 Jump Street medical school, and then it moves again and it's like 24 Jump Street cooking school, and it starts going through all of these mock sequels, like 25
great
Jump
cameos,
6, and they're going through like all of these different ones, like like Sunday school and like flight school, and it's just every time it's so funny, and they do these little like moments that are scenes from the film. When they got to like 29 Jump Street, it was the Sunday school one, and Ice Cube is like, "You two sons of bitches are going to Sunday school," and it's Channing Tatum sitting with Seth Rogen. And I lost it at that point. I love Seth Rogen.
Yeah, it's like, when'd you get glasses?
He's like, "You look different." He's like, "No, not really." He was like, "I did get a pair of new glasses."
Yeah, it was the best.
And then they show them like in the Sunday school skit, and he's like, "Come on, Janko or whatever," and he's like, "It's Janko." And then it does like 30 Jump Street, and it's Jonah Hill again, and he's like, "Welcome back, man." And he's like, "What contract dispute? I don't know."
Yeah, I've been here the whole time.
Yeah, I've been here the whole time, that was so great, And they go on, and it's like Jump Street the video game, Jump Street the toys, like
21 Jump Street.
21, yeah, it's the futuristic 21 Jump Street.
How about when he's in the video game and he's like, something's cool.
And then they have the cameo from Richard Grieco, who was in the original
Booker.
21 Jump Street TV show, and he's like, "Who are you?" "I'm Booker." And it's all Jump Street Generations, which was probably my favorite one. Oh my God, and they just kept going, and it was like Jump Street Dance School, and I love when they did Dance School because then Jonah's like, finally something I'm good at.
But it's like ballet.
Yeah, and it was just so funny because we all know Channing's the dancer out of the crew. And, that was one of the best end credit scenes, if not the best, that I've ever seen in my life. Like, that made me laugh so hard for its entirety. I've heard one person tell me, "Oh, I thought it ran on for too long, and I wanted to punch him in the gut," because I was like, I could have taken that for the entire length of the credits.
The whole movie could have been that way. I would have laughed.
So
they got to like 42, didn't they?
Oh, higher, I think.
I think it got to the early 40s. Yeah, I mean,
They're old at the end.
And the flight school one was really funny too because they also had a cameo from Anna Faris. And
Yeah.
I love Anna Faris.
Yeah, she's so funny. So then she showed up, and she's walking with them, and they're in their like jumpsuits, like Top Gun style,
Yeah.
And she's like, "All right," and she's like, you can tell she's partnering up with them, and it was just so funny, like every single time. Yeah, and then what was it like, old people's home or
Yeah,
whatever?
we're too old for this.
Yeah, too old for the shit, and it was just like, what an amazing end credit scene, and to kind of like to spin off of that, I had read they actually just filmed that like 6 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
The film originally had an ending where they kind of like just walk off into the sunset, and they're like, "We're done. We're never doing this again." Like kind of like a cheeky kind of like, no more sequels. Like, we're done. We're not going to do this anymore. And they walk off into the sunset, and they did some test screenings, and people were like, "No, like you can't do that ending because like we love these guys, like we want to see more. You can't have them like walking off into the sunset." So the directors called them back and said, "We need just one day," and in one day they filmed that whole end sequence, and they just did all of those mock endings, and they called in Seth Rogen and Anna Faris, and they just killed that out in one day, literally 6 weeks ago, and then tacked that on to the end of the film. So
Oh, it's genius.
Very genius, because it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. Like,
I thought I was having a heart attack because my chest hurt so badly from laughing. I was fatigued from laughing in this movie.
Yeah, honestly, like next to like a Jackie Chan, movie where you get to see all the stunts gone wrong or all the stunts at the end, where for me it is very entertaining. But yeah, this one I was stitches the whole time. I think Tropic Thunder had a pretty good end credits. I think they were like, I can't remember. I think they were like talking about like some other movies that they had done. But yeah, oh my gosh, this one was so good. And like you said, it just kept going. And it's funny, like some people, the things that they complain about with this film are things that I like. Like people don't like the fact that it was so much like the first one, or people don't like all the, homosexual innuendos and all that. But I mean, if you look like at any kind of like really close friendship bromance, I mean, you're basically like a couple. You do everything together. You guys are the same person, and like what you were saying before, like with their little breakup, it's like I think we should investigate what they say, investigate different people or something like that, and then they want to do one last investigation together. I don't know. I loved all those innuendos, and it was great.
He said, "It's not that we're ending it; we're just going to investigate with other people."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's an open investigation.
An open. That's what it was.
Yeah. We're not done. Like it's an open investigation. We're gonna do it with some other people. Yeah, I mean, it's so good. You also, another cool cameo was Bill Hader. He was in the culinary school.
Yeah.
And he was the villain. And it's funny because I'm looking through here, and one of the other guys from the original 21 Jump Street, he was on the poster for the Generations. What the hell's his name? Dustin Nagayan. He was actually Vietnamese Jesus.
Yeah, he was the guy.
Didn't know that.
He was the young Vietnamese cop in the original show.
Yeah, so he was Vietnamese Jesus, like during Channing Tatum's drug trip.
Yeah.
Then he was, in the poster for Jump Street Generations. And then, of course, you had the little cameo, too, from Dave Franco and Rob Riggle, which was hilarious because they were...
Oh, that was a funny part.
Who's that?
I think you're putting him in a relationship he doesn't want to be in.
It doesn't sound anything like me. It doesn't sound not like you. Yeah, I love Rob Riggle. And I don't know if you guys stayed to the very, very end, but there's actually another scene at the very end of the credits. I
didn't.
Yeah,
I did.
Did you? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a little scene. It's super cheesy, but basically, like Rob Riggle's laying in his bunk with with fucking Franco, and he's like, "Are you awake?" And Franco's like, "No," and he's like, "I'm late." And
His bottom lip just starts
Michael's
quivering.
bottom lip just starts quivering, all sad, and it ends. And it was the stupidest thing, but it was so fucking funny. I'm late because now he has a vagina.
Like, it's not a vagina.
Either. You keep telling him that.
That's not what you said last night. Hell.
Yeah. Tell him that I'm your bitch. He's my bitch.
I think he's in a relationship he doesn't want to be in.
Guys, get me out of here.
Yeah, come on. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, the only problem I had with the movie is really a silly problem, but I kind of wanted Jonah to hook up with that girl in the end. I wanted some kind of closure in that area, and I
think you'll continue to see that into the next film.
Yeah, I hope so.
That wasn't wrapped up. I mean, yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen another scene with them together, because you never really got like a follow through with those two after she stopped, the chick from Workaholics and they busted her. But there's that door is definitely open for them to kind of continue that. I mean,
yeah,
they were pretty clear on making them like kind of like a boyfriend girlfriend type thing.
Yeah, they seemed really solid, and then like she found out he was a cop, and then there was problems, and then when she cuffs him, when they save Ice Cube, there was like this look at each other, and then he runs off, and like there was no closure there. So that was one of the problems I had with it. The other problem I had with the movie in some aspects was I feel like although I do like the closure where the guy with the blonde hair says he deserves him or something like that, like it's the other girlfriend saying he's the better girlfriend.
Yeah, they were meant to be.
But I mean, I feel like that I wanted something like the captains to talk or something. I wanted the two. I wanted something with what's the guy's name? The white captain. What's his name? Don. Yeah. No. I wanted to see him because he was like it was the same thing. I wanted him to be like it wasn't the same thing. I wanted some closure in that area too. But again, you said there's opportunity in the next movie, and you were right about that.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that there's going to be another one after making $60 million in its domestic debut. The film only cost $60 million to make, so it basically won its production money back just domestically in 3 days. Let alone what it's making worldwide and the rest of its theatrical run. So this is a ginormous hit. It's the second biggest debut ever for an R-rated comedy after Hangover 2. So this thing is so big. As far as negatives go, I mean, for me, I don't have any. I honestly don't have any. I'm still trying to even decide myself if I like this more than 21. I find them to be very neck and neck for me right now. I don't know which way. I think I need to see 22 again to really make that decision. But as of right now, I'm kind of like they're on a level playing field for me.
That ending, it made it so much better for me. That ending was just hilarious. So I would say 22 is my favorite, but not by much. And the gripes I have, again,
yeah,
it's still a 5 out of 5 comedy. These are just things I would like to have seen, some closure in some of the scenes.
Yeah. So yeah, do you have any negatives, Peeps, like on this film? Anything you wanted to point out that you didn't like?
Well, I mean, the things that I'm going to point out negatively, of course, I'll be contradicting myself, but I would have liked to see, I guess, maybe a little bit more of like a third character, I guess, kind of like Ice Cube's character. Like, I think it would have been, I mean, yeah, the 21 Jump Street is really, just the two cops, but I don't know, like, I guess all the other cops, like, I didn't really know any of their names yet, they all said what's up to him, and I don't know, I guess it just maybe adding more characters into it, or maybe adding a third. What if Ice Cube, I guess, was kind of with them on the mission or something? I don't know, maybe that could have been an interesting, and even when but I guess, with the whole dad reveal, that would have obviously not worked. But, I mean, in terms of comedies go, like, you and I have talked about this before, Don, like, I kind of lead more into, a 5-star comedy for me is something like Not Another Teen Movie or Naked Gun or Austin Powers, where it's a comedy, but the humor is just so stupid and random that it's just you didn't see it coming. And I mean, like this one with the whole octopus and all that. Like if I didn't see that in the trailer, like I would have been on the floor dying when I saw that. And yeah, a lot of the humor you didn't see, but the drug scene, the high scene, like that part had me dying. But again, like I said, just in comparison to other like slapstick, I call them stupid funny movies. Like they're just so absolutely stupid that it's funny. I don't know. It just kind of lacked in that area for me. It was just really realistic. Two guys broing it up in college, and I don't know. So, but I mean, characters are good. I don't really care who the villain is in the end. Like I really didn't care. I just wanted to see them argue more with each other, in all honesty. Like the story, I kind of even forgot why they were even there at a certain point.
I mean, I needed this movie, and I'm wondering, on the bigger picture, if America just needs more comedies. Because look how well it did. I mean, it went up against a movie that it should have lost to horribly. And, I mean, the Dragon movie, my kids wanted to see since last year. So, when they knew it was coming out. I just think right now, with things going on, like in Russia and other places and things going on, I think we, as Americans, we need a movie like this, some comedies and things going out, which gives me hope for the sex tape movie coming out and some of the other ones, because those look hilarious. But I wonder if this is the year for comedies, and I don't know.
I think it's got big potential, because Neighbors was hilarious. Neighbors was another 5 out of 5 comedy for me. And, and it's, I would say I enjoyed 22 just a little bit more, but not by much. Like, Neighbors was that funny. And I know, like, my brother-in-law went and saw it, 22 a couple days ago, and he actually, he loved 22, but he said Neighbors was the better comedy. So, so there's a little bit of comparison there.
What about the Seth MacFarlane movie? Do you think it was?
That's what I'm going to say. I mean,
okay.
You also have Million Ways to Die in the West. We have Sex Tape coming out in a couple weeks. We got Let's Be Cops next month.
Oh yeah.
Really movies that look hilarious. So if they live up to even half this potential, this is going to be a great year for comedies. Like, no doubt.
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber.
Oh yeah,
comes out in November. Yeah, I mean, I'm only talking summer, and there's still the rest of the year to come. So there's going to be some great stuff. So this is definitely, we could be remembering 2014 for being a great year for comedy. So much good stuff. I mean, I guess let's go around. We'll do final kind of thoughts and our scores. Like I said, for me, no, I don't have any negatives. It's just I'm still trying to just figure out which one I prefer more. And right now it's easy to say 22 just because it's the fresh one and it's the new one. But I've seen 21 a dozen times, and it still cracks me up like I've seen it for the first time. And I think I need to see 22 another time to kind of really make that final decision. But there's so many moments. I mean, there's so many that we haven't even talked about. And as I think about the film again, and I think about when they first hit the college, and it felt like everybody knew they were cops. And like the two guys in Channing's class were like, "You're so obvious. It's like your badge is showing." And he looks down like, "Did you really just?
Did you really look?"
They crossed it on the list.
Yeah, and it's like Patton Oswalt's telling, like Jonah Hill, like, just so many little things, like all the Ice Cube stuff. Even like when they first go to the 22 Jump Street, the new office, and you see like the kids that Channing became friends with from the first film, or like the new recruits, and they're doing like the force chokeouts on each other. They're like all choking each other out with the force.
Jonas going, no.
Yeah, that was so funny. It's so stupid and so dumb, but like that was so funny to see them doing that to each other. Like that cracked me up so much. I mean, and it continues. I mean, all the little things that the Workaholics chick said to Jonah. I mean, even when they got in that fight at the end, she's like, "What are you gonna do? Hit me with your liver spotted hands?" And like, and she just, and she just kept on with the jokes and Oh my God! The stuff in the library, where they got busted, and then Jonah trying to make it look like Channing was going down on him, and he's like, "Oh, what, you guys are just a bunch of faggots?" He's like, "Don't use that word," and he gets like all
It's
defensive about it.
2014.
Yeah, this is 2014. We don't use those words no more, and he gets, "I'm your best nightmare. I mean, your worst nightmare." Like there's so many one-liners. There's so many cool things about this film. I mean, it just we could literally just quote it and talk about this thing for hours. I mean, it's that funny. So I'm glad all three of us got to see it. I'm glad generally all three of us loved it. So for me, if you listen to Sunday's show, 5 out of 5 for me. I always base comedies on how much do I laugh, and this movie had me in tears. It had me just really good gut laughs, and it's the same thing Neighbors did for me back in May. Really strong gut laughs, and when it's that consistent, and especially with that ending, it just, this is the movie right now. This is the comedy to beat, and 22 Jump Street was a damn near perfect comedy for me. Smart, funny. The two guys that directed this, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they're the hotness right now in comedy, man. Like they did the first 21 Jump Street, they did the Lego movie, and the Lego movie is fucking so funny.
Oh yeah,
and you can see that humor in it, and then into 22 Jump Street, they even did the original Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and there's a lot of that humor in there too. So these guys are the future right now of comedy directing, and I'm just so over the moon that this turned out as good as it was, because with comedies, it's really, really hard, especially with sequels. I mean, if you go off the top of your head, there's not going to be many sequels that you're going to tell me, oh, this sequel of a comedy was better than the first. It just doesn't happen very often, and so it's a hard thing to do with comedies, and 22 really did pull it off. So I'm glad that they kept everything that we loved from the first one, amped it up, brought it back, and I am hoping, that we get a third one here in the next couple of years, and I would like to see them kind of expand past the two of them. The whole thing with 21 Jump Street and the TV show was, it was a whole group of them. It was 5 people. I mean, you had the girl and you had the guys, and you had all the different, elements to it. And I think that if they're going to keep going forward, I think you got to expand that a little bit. I love these two together. It's so funny to see what's happened with Channing Tatum, because this was the dude that was the guy in Step Up. He was the guy that was in all these romantic comedies, and everybody kind of laughed him off. And then he did 21 Jump Street, and everyone lost their mind at just how good he was in a comedy, and he really kind of steals the show in this one. I mean, he really is just so natural and just so good, and his chemistry with Jonah Hill is legit. It is legit chemistry. You feel their bond. You feel their bromanship. When you see them doing press tours and stuff together, like when I saw them on Conan last week, I mean, they did it together, and it's just, you feel their friendship, and that comes across on screen. And I think that that's another reason why these movies are so good, because you have two guys that genuinely really like each other and click, and that goes a million miles. And so I would love to see them do more. I would like to see it kind of expand and bring in some more people to the group. But for me, I absolutely love this film. 5 out of 5 for me. Peeps, wrap it up. What you got? Closing arguments.
All right. First of all, just definitely want to thank you for having me on. I love these. Am I still on the airs? And I appreciate it. But I mean, in all honesty, like, you pretty much said it. I mean, Channing, like, you from Step Up, being that pretty boy that dances, and I every time I would hear that he's in a new movie, I'm like, oh, come on, not this guy again. But after 21 Jump Street, I was like, okay, all right, this dude's actually pretty funny. And then he's just been doing, I don't know if you saw the skit that he did on Jimmy Kimmel. It was a song, and what was it? Jamie Foxx sang it, and he's like, you want to Channing all over my Tatum.
Yes, I love that sketch.
Yes, it's so funny. And then, he has this little cameo on the end. But, he has such a good sense of humor. And, people like Justin Timberlake, when they're like, okay, all he can do is sing. But then you see him on Saturday Night Live, and they're freaking hilarious. I love that kind of stuff. If Justin Timberlake made a cameo or something like that in the next film, I would love that. But like you said, after seeing the end credits, I guess that kind of messed it up for me, because if Anna Faris had a big role in this film, or if Bill Hader or anybody, if they had a bigger role, I think I would have enjoyed this movie so much more. But then again, for what it was really good as is. But like you said, if they make another one, they definitely need to throw somebody else in the mix just to kind of change it up. And then even Jonah Hill, I first saw him on 40-Year-Old Virgin when he was the creepy guy in the eBay store asking to buy some sparkly boots.
With the fish inside.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, he went from that creepy guy to, what he is today and Superbad and everything else. Like, yeah, he's pretty much the same character in every film that I've seen him in. I mean, I haven't seen any of the other, like the baseball movie he was in with Brad Pitt and all that, but every movie I've seen him in, he's the same guy, and he's good at what he does. Like, same thing with Seth Rogen. I'm totally cool with seeing that same character in each movie. But again, overall, I definitely enjoyed the movie. I would have liked to see a little bit more in terms of, like, other characters. It was really just them two throughout the entire film, which was great, but I would have liked to see somebody else. So I'm going to give mine, the good old 4 soggy bananas. All the bananas have to be soggy, though. I mean, that's the best kind of banana, in my opinion. But, the gay
gross.
innuendos, and even when I was seeing Channing doing his little parkour, and I was like, okay, maybe I could see this guy as Gambit. At first, when he was Magic Mike, not so much. But now, I'm all right. I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing what he can do. In terms of his accent, hopefully he works on his accents a little bit better. I know, obviously, that he was just being stupid just to be hilarious. But, to me, Gambit is physical and he's Cajun. So he's got one half of it. If you just get that Cajun part down, he's going to be perfect. But yeah, other than that, I mean, great film. Really enjoyed it. It's definitely going to be one of those movies I'm going to pop in on a Friday, just because I'm bored and I just want to, have something playing on the TV while I'm on the computer. Then I'll get completely distracted and just watch it and crack up all over again. And I know Don and I and Pat are going to be messaging each other random, jokes, throughout the day of the film. So, I mean, it's that good of a film. I don't know why anybody would say they didn't enjoy it unless I guess they're just a stick in the mud. So it's overall super good. Go see it if you haven't seen it. But after the way we've talked, you've pretty much already seen it tonight. So it's still good though. Pat?
Well, I didn't know what I was going to see going into it. I mean, honestly, it's a sequel. I was hoping it was going to be funny. I did not expect it to be as funny as it was. This thing is just dripping with comedy. It's golden comedy. It's what I want in a comedy movie. I laughed and laughed and laughed. And I wasn't feeling very well when I went to go see it in the first place, but I laughed so hard. And I took my son, he laughed so hard at it too. There was just so much in it. There's so much in this movie we couldn't even cover it all. There's so much. I mean, if you went and saw it now, you'd be like, there's like so whole scenes they didn't talk about because there's just so much in this movie. It was well produced. It was well directed. It was well acted. It was surprising how much I cared about what happened in the story for me between the two guys and Jonah Hill and how he felt. That scene where he's looking at the video camera and he's all like crying and he texts Channing and Channing lies, there's so much chemistry between the characters, not just them two, but there was chemistry throughout the movie with everybody. Even the bad guys you didn't really hate, they were still funny and hilarious, and I wanted to see them on screen again. There was action in it that was exciting. I mean, it's definitely a 5 out of 5. I got everything and more out of this movie that I wanted to see. If you want to go and have a great laugh, you need to go see this movie. As far as it being better than the first one, I think for me it is, but it's not because the first one stunk. I mean, I could watch the first one, and the lines in those are just still hilarious to me. I think this movie's going to be just like that. I can watch it over and over and over again, and I'm going to laugh. When Sean was going to go see it that night, I was trying to figure out a way I'd go see it again with him, but I was just not feeling well, so I didn't. But it would have been the same day, which means I would have went and saw an hour and a half difference or something, and it still would have been worth it to me. It's just that funny. So I loved it. I think I want to see another one. I want to see a 23 Jump Street, and even if it's the same two guys, they have such great chemistry. I agree that it should be more, but even if it's the same two, I'd still go see it. So, and by the way, soggy bananas are disgusting. So just throwing that out there. The only thing that could make this better is if Kevin Spacey narrated the beginning. Just kidding. I'm sorry. That's a bad reference.
You gonna name the wrong game that he's narrating?
Yeah, the wrong movie. I wasn't feeling good when I did that show, so I did pretty good.
I was like, when you did that, I was like, okay, he's gonna correct himself here at any moment now. But you never did, and you just kept on saying Destiny like 500 times. I'm like, wrong video game.
But no, wrapping it up, it's a 5 out of 5 movie for me too. It's everything I wanted out of a comedy. I can't think of any way they could have made it more funnier.
Yeah, that's definitely, and that's what it comes down to is really just how funny is it and what does it do for you, and it really truly is. So this will be the comedy to beat this summer as we move forward, and we got a couple of good ones still coming out in the next couple months. So summer's continuing to trek along and put out some good stuff. So very excited about that. Our next Am I Still on the Air is going to be for Transformers Age of Extinction. Very, very excited about that one. I will have these two guys back. We're setting it up. We're going to go see it. IMAX 3D. Opening day before opening night. Trying to do it on that Thursday night, June 26th. And bang it out and, see it with that hardcore crowd on opening night, which is going to be awesome because that crowd is always great. And it was awesome when we did Godzilla, and that's definitely the same kind of vibe that I want to get into, especially with something like Transformers. And the movie was filmed with IMAX cameras, and it's supposed to be a beautiful film in IMAX, and I can't wait. That is my most anticipated film of the summer, so I know we're gonna have a great time. Doing a nice spoiler review for Transformers 4 Age of Extinction. So look for that here in the next week after that comes out. And the three of us will be breaking that one down for you. So we'll round it out with these guys telling you where they can find them. I'm going to start with Peeps here. Right now, he's Peeps the Geek on Twitter, but he might have an announcement to drop. And I also want him to break down some news here about his upcoming show on Red Dragons Radio. So, Peeps, give us what you got.
What it do? All right, well, as Don said, it's Peeps the Geek right now. And, with Geeky Pat, I don't want to take Geeky Pat's vibe. So I'm going to go ahead and be changing my name on Twitter very soon. I have no idea what I'm going to be changing it to, but I'm pretty much going to be doing it within like the next 10 minutes or so. So I'll be letting everybody know, what my new Twitter name is.
So whack that you don't even know. You said you were going to be debuting it at the end of the show, and then you're going to get your moment and be like, I don't know what it is.
Dude, I had it, and I'm like, nah, I'm going to get something else. I'm going to get it good. It's going to be good. Maybe on the Transformers, I can. It's the anticipation. The people like the anticipation. But as Don said, I am definitely going to be doing my own show. Hanging out with Don, hanging out with Geeky Pat. I mean, it's this the movie reviews and just breaking things down. I love doing that. I would love to be able to do this with the Walking Dead TV show, with the Arrow TV show, with several comic books that are coming out right now. Even I would need somebody. I would like to speak with someone so that they can explain to me why the heck Fault in Our Stars is such a good film. I don't get it, but it's so freaking successful right now. I need to understand it. And that's really what it's going to be. It's just going to be an open forum. We're just going to break things down, talk about TV shows, comic books, whatever's coming up. We'll see what it is, and I'm definitely going to be reaching out to all of you to see what you want to hear, what you would like to, what maybe you don't want to hear about me talking about comic books because Geeky Pat already covered it. So let's go ahead and cover some video games or a movie, but that's going to be coming out very soon. I should pretty much have something out to Don this weekend, so stay tuned for that. And I would also like everybody, I want to talk about Spider-Man 2. That movie is getting a bad rap. And I think that movie was, I like that movie. And Pat, you better back me up on this. He enjoyed it too. It may not be a 5-star film, but he enjoyed it.
I did.
Until I broke it down to him, and then he was like, "Yeah, you're
Then
right."
I cried like a little girl. But no, to me, it's still a 4 movie year. I still liked it.
If you guys want to hear us talk about Spider-Man 2, let Don know. And if he says,
calling you out,
let him know. And so I want to get this all out on the air while I'm on the air. So yeah, again, great movie. Except for Rhino.
Carried away, great movie.
Great movie.
Let's tone that back. The movie was so great, it was out of theaters in less than a month.
hey, leave Rhino out of this.
Hey,
was
it's so great that part 3 is being pushed back a year because they don't know what the fuck to do anymore.
Hey, that was their fault. They put too much money into advertising it. They should have just said Spider-Man, and then everybody would go see it. You don't have to.
I honestly would love to get into a Spider-Man conversation because I think we'd have a really good talk about it. My only hesitation about it, and I told you this earlier, is the fact that the movie is already out of theaters, and I would like to keep, Am I Still in the Airs to be at least something current and what's like at the top of the box office currently.
That's true. I know.
But you know what? You want to do stuff on a forum, I would
Have
gladly toss it to you.
Yep.
And we could come on to the People's Forum, and we can discuss Spider-Man 2 for your own episode. So if that's what you want to do, hey, that's your call, and I would love to debate it with you. I think we've missed our boat for an Am I Still in the Air, but it's kind of weird that we're going to be doing all these new movies, and I'm like, let me backtrack to the first film of May. We might as well do a Captain America one too while we're at it. So,
well, here's the thing. Don will announce it on Am I on the Air that the DVD or Blu-ray is going to be released, and that's the week we could come on the Peeps Forum and talk about it.
Okay.
We can talk about it anytime. Anytime you want to do it, if you want it to be your debut episode, if you want it to be the one after, whatever, just let us know. I'm giving you the carte blanche on this one to spin off and Am I on the Air to the People's Forum, and we could discuss the not so amazing Spider-Man 2.
It'll be a better spin-off than the Joey Show, let me tell you.
So you still don't have a Twitter name you want to announce, because this would be the greatest time for you to say what your new name is.
DX Peeps Mega.
I give that 4 soggy bananas.
No, I still need to sit on it. It's going to be a perfect, awesome red carpet. There's going to be fireworks and doves, just like in 22 Jump Street. Get out of the doves. It's the same thing.
I still think it should be Peep Saboneur. But you don't want to take it from me, but I think that one fits you the best.
Okay, maybe I should get some suggestions. I don't know. Peeps.
If you want to suggest it, can they reach you at this moment on Twitter?
For the next 10 minutes, if you listen to the show, you can reach me at Peeps the Geek. But that could be different by the time this show actually posts to the website.
Yes, one of my 13 followers. I need you. I need your help.
Yeah, he's new to this Twitter thing. We gotta give him grief over it. So, alrighty. So, switch it over here. Geeky Pat. He's got a show called This Week with the Geek. It's on Red Dragons Radio. He's got a new episode up from just the other day, covering up all the good stuff over at E3, all the new video games dropping, Battlefield Hardline, Destiny, even though he talks about Call of Duty Advanced Warfare while mentioning Destiny. He shouts out my website is amistillonair.com, which is actually just amiontheair.com. There is no still in the URL, but I appreciate you trying to shout it out. and hopefully people will still find me. And but no, it was a great episode. I loved all the E3 stuff. I missed a lot of those announcements when it was happening, so it was cool to kind of hear about a lot of it. I'm excited about Far Cry. So why don't you buy it and then you can invite me to play because I can do that. So yeah, great episode. He's got about 4 episodes up so far over on Red Dragons Radio. So Pat, tell us about the show. Tell us where people can find you online.
Well, they can find me online at geekypatbroadcasting.com, and if they switch over to the Red Dragons Radio tab, they can literally click on a tab that I have there that says I'm on the air. And am I on the air? I'm sorry, I just did it again. Am I on the air? It'll take them to your radio show. So even though I kept giving it twice out wrong, it's there as well. You can click on Red Dragons Radio. All that stuff's there. I'm very proud to be part of Red Dragons Radio, so I made sure it's prominent on my page. Inside the Ropes, I'll put Peeps Show on there when he gets it set and he gets a name that I can actually advertise. But yeah, it's Geeky Pat Broadcasting at .com. You can reach me at Twitter at Geeky_Pat, and of course at Facebook, / This Week with the Geek. Yeah, again, I apologize for all the mistakes. You can't tell it, but I was feeling awful when I recorded that. So the fact that any of it was coherent made me happy. So I just put it out anyway without any fixes. Yeah, so you can reach me there. Coming up this week, just because I can do a shameless plug. Geek, I guess he's Peeps the Geek. Peeps is going to come on, and we're going to play some on my Geeky Pad Gaming. We're going to play some League of Legends, the game I absolutely do not like, and he's going to make fun of me the whole time as I get devastated in the game. So you'll be able to check that out on the YouTube page, Geeky Pad Gaming.
Such a good game.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, I did play the beta or I played a little bit of the alpha for Destiny, and it is awesome. I will pre-order that game. I do have the Battlefield Hardline beta. I sent you the link earlier on Twitter, so you could sign up because they actually extended that. It's okay. I'm not a Battlefield guy, so it's better than Battlefield 4 was, but it's still eh. But yeah, there's some great stuff coming out. So E3 is always a great time if you're into video gaming to know what's going on. And so there you go, at Peeps the Geek for right now. And Geeky_Pat for Geeky Pat over there. And for myself, you can follow me on Twitter at DXDonMega. Follow the show at Am I On The Air to keep up with all the latest stuff going on in the world of entertainment. And this has been the Am I Still On The Air spoiler episode for 22 Jump Street. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you on the next one, which once again will be Transformers Age of Extinction.
That was very good.
Yeah.
Before time began, there was the cube. We know not where it comes from.
And that it just completely disappears on the third movie that Don loves. Oh, wait. Hey, we'll talk about that next week.
Save that. Save that.
Because they're all amazing films.
Amazing.
A Michael Bay film, which they actually just announced Transformers 5 for 2016. So it's been a great day in the world of Transformers. But we'll catch you up. More on that next time. For Am I On The Air, we'll catch you. Peace.
Peace.
I'm drinking.